A British man who went to fight for the International Legion in Ukraine has been found dead in a body of water with his hands bound behind his back. Brenda Chadwick, aged 31, from Burnley, served as a Scots Guard in the British Army from 2011 to 2015. With me is our news correspondent Joe Inwood. What more do we know, Joe?
So that message came from his mum Brenda, and she was speaking to one of our colleagues. And actually, we understand he died back in July, but it's only now that the news has come out. Obviously, a painful thing for the family. They wouldn't want to speak about it too quickly. As you're saying there, he was found with his hands tied behind his back in a body of water. People, of course, we don't know the circumstances, but that does have a clear implication that he had been captured because his hands were tied. Obviously a devastating thing for the family. They were talking about how he's a much-loved son, and of course this is leaving a terrible hole in their lives. I think what's interesting here is he's just one of the many hundreds, thousands, the numbers aren't entirely clear, of British fighters out in Ukraine. Many of them are former soldiers. So Mr. Chadwick was himself a member of the Scots Guard between 2011 and 2015, and obviously he had left his posting there many years before the Ukraine war started. But I think, like lots of the people who've gone out to fight, thought he had combat experience, he had been a soldier and wanted to go and put that to use in Ukraine, and obviously he's paid a very heavy price for having done so.
And it does bring to the fore really the many risks that as you've mentioned, many people who do go and fight in Ukraine face.
Yeah, it's not known exactly how many foreign soldiers there are. Estimates that about 20,000 members of the Foreign Legion, although they keep it very close. I mean, I was out in Ukraine at the start of the war, and I was interviewing various soldiers former soldiers who were fighting for the Foreign Legion, and they were talking about how it really was nothing they'd experienced before. Because what's interesting about the experience of former soldiers going out and fighting in Ukraine is, especially if they're part of a Western or were a member of a Western military, they've never been part of combat where they don't have air superiority. The soldier I was talking to was ex-Special Forces he was a South Korean Special Forces soldier who'd fought in many conflicts, and he'd never been shelled before, because always, generally people who are in NATO militaries are the ones who have air dominance, they have artillery dominance, that sort of thing. And so it's a new experience for them to suddenly, especially at the start of the war, be the ones who are under such heavy fire. And it has been a very difficult, very dangerous experience. And as I said, many of them have paid with their lives.
Well, very sad for that family. Thank you, Joe. Joe Inwood there for us.